What is going on, everybody? What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Clueless Yanks podcast. It's your boy Logan.
What up, y'all? I'm back. It's Jake.
Jake is back. Another one is out. Our boy Sling, who filled in for Jake last week, took a little bit more of the brunt of the load last week to make up for Jake being out. Sling is now sick this week. Didn't sound very good. We were playing Xbox with him over the mic last night, and normally Sling's a high energy guy, and
There was none.
yeah, there was zero energy coming from his end. So he's sick. Might have COVID. Who knows? Who knows what he's got? But he is out for this week. He said he wasn't going to be up for the pod, and so yeah, Jake is back. It's just two of us again this week, and so how did that last week go for you? Nice little busy week.
Good fucking Lord. All I'm going to say is I had a very strong relationship with caffeine last week. I worked a total of 61 and a half hours just last week alone. For those of you that don't know, I work at a junior college, and I'm in the athletic department, and we were hosting the state tournament for our region. And so I had to work the entire event, prepping for the event, and then breaking down the event afterwards.
Fun stuff.
So, needless to say, I had a lot of overtime. So paycheck will be fat, but I'm like still mentally recovering from that whole fucking event. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't working last week, but school has been like, the semester's wrapping up, so it's been pretty great. Well, I worked, but I mean, I didn't work 61 hours or anything like that. But school has been kind of crazy lately these last few weeks, wrapping up the semester. It's my last actual like real semester of school.
Yes,
I have to complete an internship as part of the curriculum for the degree, but like schoolwork wise, finished in like 2 weeks, so I'm pumped about that. But getting down to the nitty gritty.
You gonna like go for your master's degree?
I'm gonna like try to get a job, and then if I find out in that job that like if I'm like to move up to where I want to be, if I need a master's degree, then I probably will get one. But it's because also like the sector that I'm going in, it's the master's degree I'd get for it is pretty much the same as my undergraduate degree. So I mean, I could do that master's degree maybe in like, I mean, I probably already have half the credits for it, so it probably wouldn't take me much time at all to do it. But yeah, been pretty busy the last couple weeks. I know we both have, especially you last week, but back ready to pod this week.
Yep.
Ready to talk about some footy. Ready to talk about the Prim, the Champions League, the Europa League. Talk about some of our Nats abroad.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, let's jump right into the Premier League action. Well, actually, let's jump into the action over in England and in the Champions League first. We start off with Liverpool. They kicked it off for the Big Six in the Champions League on Tuesday. Matched up against Real Madrid. Just not a good result for Liverpool. I kind of backed them. I thought that they'd come off that win against Arsenal with some confidence, with some momentum, and they went to Madrid, and they just – I know you didn't catch the game because you were working, but I was watching. They weren't good at all. They were really poor. 3-1 didn't flatter Real Madrid at all. They were by far the better team and in that game. And I thought Liverpool played all right in the second half, but Real Madrid really did all their damage in the first half, and then were able to nick a third goal in the second to make that scoreline a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, the Reds are in a little tough position there.
I did watch the highlights or most of the highlights of that game. Tony Cruz.
That pass.
Oh my god.
That pass was disgusting.
That man was on fire.
I feel like that Real Madrid midfield is like really underrated. Like it's one of the best midfields of our generation, if not like over several generations. I think a lot of people always talk about the Barcelona midfield of Iniesta, Xavi, and Busquets, and rightfully so. That's a brilliant midfield that won multiple Champions Leagues, have won lots of La Ligas. But this midfield of Cruz, Modric, and Casemiro, they've won 3 or 4 Champions Leagues for Real Madrid. They've won the league a couple of times. Modric obviously won a Ballon d'Or a year or two ago. And, I think Modric, because he won that Ballon d'Or, he now gets a little bit more plaudits. But I think Cruz and Casemiro, they're underrated. But yeah, that pass to Vinicius was
and
was
his
disgusting.
touch too in the finish,
Well,
like literally was perfect.
Yeah, the thing about Vinicius too, I know there's supposed to be a podcast that talks about the Premier League clubs, but getting into La Liga clubs. But Vinicius, I've watched Real Madrid play several times before, and he's like that's that typical Brazilian youngster that's like really fast and like has great skills and shit. He's a great dribbler, but he gets in front of the goal and he'll like shit the bed.
Nice.
But I noticed the last couple times I've watched him, like in the Champions League and the league. He's gotten a lot better in front of goal. He had 2 goals in that game against Liverpool, and yeah, I mean, if he could, because I mean, if he can learn how to finish, he could become a big player for Real Madrid because he does pretty much everything else at a really high level. So
Yeah.
that was a really tough result for Liverpool. But hey, I mean, they went to Barcelona and lost 3-0 a couple years ago, and then they took it back to Anfield and won 4-0.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the same Liverpool team. They aren't as good as they were that year. But I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see another Anfield miracle. I think they play on Wednesday this week.
Yeah. I'm not seeing it either.
Yeah. Real Madrid have been really solid defensively, too, and I just don't see Liverpool scoring, maybe they'd win 2-0. I don't know. I don't see it. Anyways, moving on to the next day, we had a couple teams from the Big Six playing in the Champions League, and we're gonna start off with your Blues getting a big 2-0 W against Porto.
Yep. And I believed we were gonna win this game going into it, and um, obviously we did. The first goal, Mason Mount. Holy moly, he is blossoming in my opinion. That man is his stocks are going up for me. That turn and then the finish was just beautiful. Like I haven't seen some shit that smooth from a Chelsea player in a while, which hurts me to say, but
Respect Pulisic.
yeah. Well, okay. I mean, to be fair, like even he was struggling for a while, but yeah, no, the turn and the shot from Mount was delicious, and then Chilwell with the steal on that Mexican motherfucker. Yes, sir.
Tecatito, Corona,
Yeah.
El Tridiots are in the mud.
Yes, sir.
They want to bring up Serginho Dest for not playing great against fucking Mbappe when he didn't even make like a direct mistake, and then yet over here Porto, hey, a 1-0 loss is not great, especially when it's your home leg, but it's not terrible. Porto were without their best players, their 2 best players in that game, and they should be getting them back for this game. And so you're thinking, okay, 1-0, look, we're still in the tie. We'll go to Stamford Bridge next week, and we'll try and put in a great performance and call it back. But 2-0, 2 big away goals. That second goal being Tecatito, he tried to control the ball and instead miscontrolled and handed it right to Chilwell, and then
And
that
then
was a really good.
Chilwell.
Yeah, it was a really good dribble around the really like
Dribbled
calm
around.
and composed.
Yeah, I was surprised because him being a left back, you
Yeah.
usually don't think that they do that. They just try to maybe put a shot on goal and just shoot around the goalie. But he was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna dribble right by him." So that was sick.
Yeah, I think that's something like even back when he was at Leicester the last few years, I've like kind of noticed that he has like he's a left back, but he has kind of like a natural goal scoring sense to him,
Yeah.
and so that's probably where he got that from.
But yeah, I even though Porto had more shots, more on target, I feel like we had the better opportunities and we capitalized on
Y'all
it.
like controlled the game, I will say. Like you weren't like creating chances left and right, but you did control the game because I was able to watch a good bit of it, and yeah, for the most part, y'all were in control. Even though Porto like had a few counterattacking opportunities, they weren't like golden opportunities, so to speak.
Yeah, and then also going into the next leg, here's why I think that we'll be fine, and we'll go on to the next one is because we're a possession-based team. Like even this game, we dominated possession again with 61%, and with them, they're gonna have to come out and score goals, and I feel like, I mean, we're gonna have no rush to attack, which I don't think we should just sit back all game. I definitely think that we should, have our foot down on the pedal, but not to an extent to where we leave ourselves open in the back for a counter or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, y'all know, hell, if we lose 1-0, we're through.
Absolutely.
So
I would take a
if I'm
loss.
Chelsea, I would take a 0-0 draw right now. Like just go out there, keep a clean sheet. That's all you got to do. Even if you give up the odd 1 goal, you still go through.
Yep.
And like you said, if you can get that, which you should have plenty of opportunities to hit on the counter, especially with that pace you guys have. And we'll talk about that a little bit more on our preview later in the pod. But yeah, so that was a really good result for Chelsea in the first leg. Moving on to another team from the Premier League, the Big Six that played in that game. The Citizens, Manchester City, they played Dortmund. Kind of going at that game, it was 2 teams heading in different directions, I felt like. City had, obviously been really good over the past 3-4 months or whatever this season. They've been on fire. Dortmund have started to falter in the Bundesliga. But I watched the game. I thought Dortmund were pretty good. I thought they the 2-1 scoreline is probably fair. And actually, Dortmund, they scored in like the 80 something minute
Yeah,
to tie at 1-1, and then City got a great goal from Phil Foden late in the game to take the win. It was beautiful. It was they like lobbed the ball into the box to Gundogan, and Gundogan just kind of like laid it off like right before he's about to go out of bounds, just kind of laid it off into Foden. He shot it first time, just kind of fizzed it into the corner past the Dortmund goalkeeper, and yeah, I mean 2-1 is if you ask City fans, it's not the result that they probably would have preferred. I'm sure you'd rather take a 1-0 victory in that circumstance, obviously, because you don't give up an away goal.
yeah.
But a 2-1 result, nonetheless, is not a bad result by any means. And now if you go to Germany this week and get one goal, they're going to have to score two or more, or actually going to have to
3,
score
right?
more than two to beat you. They'd have to score two to force extra time. And so yeah, I mean, a pretty strong result. It was a fun game to watch. Always like watching Holland play. Our guy Gio Reyna came on like the 68th minute or something like that in that game, and had a couple of nice moments. And then, just as a neutral, I always enjoy watching City play just because the free flowing football
The quality.
that they always have. And so yeah, they go into Germany next week off of a decent win, but they know that the job is definitely not finished by any means.
Mhm.
Moving over into the Europa League, Manchester United, they kicked it off in Spain, playing Granada. Me and Sling kind of talked about it last week. We didn't really think this would be any problem for United. Granada are a very big surprise they've even gotten here. You look at some of the other teams in the tournament that are left over, like Dinamo Zagreb and Slavia Prague, and teams like that are maybe like not big names, but in their respective countries they're big names, and so that'll breed confidence that you can take over in a European competition. Whereas Granada, they weren't even in the La Liga like 2 or 3 seasons ago, so they're not a big name in La Liga by any means. And so I kind of thought this would be straightforward for United. They did. They got a 2-0 win in Spain, two away goals. I mean, pretty much same. Well, obviously same result as Chelsea got. Now Porto have a hell of a lot more quality to come back than Granada do against United. But yeah, so I kind of think that tie is pretty much over with. I think they kind of got the job done, and that's they're playing pretty well right now. That's what good teams do. When you play an inferior team, you don't let them hang around, and you get the job done in the first leg if possible.
Yeah.
And what non-good teams do, like Arsenal, is they let a team hang around in a game. They go through on goal, miss one-on-ones with the goalie, hit the crossbar. We pull shots wide in one-on-ones with the goalie. We have tap-ins that we put wide. We have plenty of opportunities to win that game by 3 or 4 goals, and instead we're only up one. Got our goal. By the way, it was a great goal from Nicolas Pepe. The composure that he had to just dink it over the goalie. And it was like the 86th minute, which looked like the winner. And at the end of the day, while we should have won that game 3 or 4-0, maybe even 5-0, you would have taken a 1-0 win. You get the victory. You don't give up any away goals. If you go to Prague this upcoming week, you only have to score one goal, and then they have to score three to be able to come back and beat you. And like one of the last kicks of the game, we give up a corner because for some reason Cedric in the final minutes of the game is he's dribbling forward. I sent you all that like screenshot of like how much space he had in front of him
Yeah.
in the 92nd minute of +4 at a time. And he instead of just he could have just dribbled. He didn't even have to clear it up the pitch. Like he literally could have just dribbled forward. There was nobody in front of him. Instead, he decides to turn around and pass it back to Gabriel, who's under pressure and takes a touch and has to clear it out of bounds. And then all of a sudden, when we have literally controlled the entire game, like Slavia Prague, I have to be honest, they are not a good team. Like they're just not a good side. That's why we didn't even play good, and I feel like we should have won that game by 3 or 4 goals. That shows you how bad they are. But after controlling the game for 92 minutes, we decide to put ourselves under pressure in the final 2 minutes, and we do what Arsenal does, and we shit the fucking bed. And unfortunate, the first line of defense on the corner doesn't clear it. It kind of comes off the side of Pepe, and then who lost their marker at the back post? Oh, old buddy Cedric, who got us in that situation in the first place. So a nightmare into the game for him. And Slavia Prague get a goal, and it's 1-1, and they're in the driver's seat now. Obviously, all they know that they have to do in Prague is make sure we don't score, and then they go through because they have the away goals. And so Arsenal have it all to do in that second leg, and it was just pure anger and just I don't even know. it was after that Liverpool performance. I was like, okay, these guys are gonna come out. They're gonna put in a good performance, and it wasn't a bad performance, but it wasn't a good performance either. And then just to do some typical shit like that at the end, just like it was draining, like physically draining. I sat there because I was watching on my computer, and I sat there after the game was over. And I just kind of like was like looking at my computer, but also not looking at my computer. I was just kind of just staring into space for about 5-10 minutes, and I didn't know what to think about because I didn't know whether to be angry, upset.
Should
At the
I
end of
put
the
a
day,
fucking hole through my Mac right fucking now?
I
Nah, let
think
me chill.
I was just like physically and like mentally drained from that performance, or not even the performance, but just the way that we gave up a goal in the last minute of the game. And typical Arsenal this season, the past few seasons, just we can never make it easy on ourselves. That reminded me so much of the Atletico Madrid semifinal in the Europa League a few years ago, Arsene Wenger's last season. It actually wasn't as bad as that. That game, I think we had like 75% possession, like 20 something shots, and Yano Black decided to turn into Jesus Christ in the flesh and was pulling out saves after saves out of his ass. And we were winning 1-0, and we are like, you know what? Look, we should have scored about five, but 1-0, you don't give them an away goal. You go away from home knowing that if you get a goal, you're in pole position to win the tie. But no, Lauren Koscielny, instead of just clearing the ball into Rosette, he fucking tries to do like a flick over his head when Antoine Griezmann is on the back of him, and Griezmann's like, "Okay, thank you," and just grabs the ball and just dribbles past him and scores to make it 1-1. That was in the final minutes of the game, just like this one. We ended up losing that game in Madrid 1-0, and I'm just praying that same. I'm hoping history doesn't repeat itself because I've seen this play out before for Arsenal, and as an Arsenal fan, there's that sense of pessimism that you just can't help to think about.
So wait, if let's say it does happen and y'all or Slavia Prague goes through, would it basically be Man United versus them in the?
No,
No,
so
they would go to the semis.
yeah, so
Right?
the way it's set up, the thing Arsenal has a beautiful path. On Man United's side, it's Man United versus Granada, and then Ajax versus Roma. Out of United and Arsenal, Ajax and Roma are probably the third and fourth favorites of the competition. So they'd have to play one of those two teams, which is looking like Roma since they beat Ajax 2-1 in the first leg in Ajax. And then our side is Dinamo Zagreb, who I know they beat Spurs, but they're a team in the Croatian league. We should be able to beat them. And then Villarreal, who is actually very interesting because Unai Emery is their coach. So that'd be pretty interesting and a bit of a crazy tie. But Dinamo Zagreb and Villarreal compared to Ajax and Roma, we got by far the favorable semifinal matchup if we're to get through. And blowing it against Slavia Prague would be so Arsenal the way we've been fucking playing the last few years. Anyways, let's wrap back around to the weekend action. We're gonna start off with actually Manchester City. They kicked us off at the weekend. Actually, I think maybe anyway, they played on Saturday at the weekend, and yeah, kind of a crazy game. I don't know if you caught any of it or watched the highlights, but
No, I didn't see that one actually.
they played Leeds United. I figured it'd be a fun, interesting game because it's two teams that like to go at it. They like to attack. In Leeds, they took the 1-0 lead in the game, and they got a red card, kind of like a weird red card to me. When you look at it in slow motion, it does look bad because the guy's like cleats are going right into the dude's knee. Um, but he had cleared the ball, and then just kind of like his follow through led to that. And so I'm like, I don't know, it's just like a little bit unfortunate. But I guess by the letter of the law, he's got to be sent off. So it's 1-0. He gets sent off. City, they do equalize like in the dying minutes of the game, and then Leeds United in the like last seconds of the game, they go through 10-man Leeds United. They hold on the entire game. They even give up the goal to turn it into a draw, but then somehow Stuart Dallas, who scored earlier in the game, goes through on goal and scores again to make it a 2-1 victory for Leeds.
That's cool.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah, neither did
I guess it does open up a little bit of a pathway for United if something crazy happens the rest of the season for them to maybe get back into the title race. But still, I mean, Man City are still 11 points clear. 6 games left for them to play. 7 games left for United to play. So I doubt anything crazy is going to happen there. But nonetheless, a big win for Leeds United. Shout out Man City for look, Arsenal over here struggling mid table when you lose to Leeds United. So Leeds United fucking jumped us. So thanks, appreciate that.
I forgot about that.
But hey, we did jump them later the next day, so it's all right. But yeah, really appreciate that. Thanks. You figure you could count on City to beat Leeds, especially at home, but nah, they shit the bed because everything just has to go wrong for the Arsenal recently. But anyways, let's move on to Liverpool. They played Aston Villa, and yeah, they got a nice little 2-1 win. They were down 1-0 in that game. Ollie Watkins had a nice goal. I believe it was near the end of the first half or at the very beginning of the second half to give Villa the 1-0 lead. But Liverpool turned it around. They got two goals, two big goals, and it's really important for them because they are still fighting for top four. They're obviously 3 points off, 3 points behind West Ham right now. They're still in the running for top four with how bad of a season it's been. They still are in the Champions League, at least for the next few days. We'll see how that, unless they do something crazy against Real Madrid. And they still are, in the running for top four. It wouldn't be a complete, if you could still eke out a top four finish, considering the injuries they've had, that wouldn't be an awful season at the end of the day. So they kind of keep their top four hopes alive.
They helped y'all out a little bit too.
Yeah, it's true.
Aston Villa's only a point behind, and they gave him the L.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Well, City couldn't help us. At least Liverpool did. And then another game on Saturday. A nice little victory for Chelsea over Crystal
Hell
Palace.
yes. I know it's Crystal Palace, but still, like I can't tell you the last time that I've just seen an absolute like stomping of like a Premier League team, especially from Chelsea, and like
Chelsea did like to Crystal Palace what City do to teams.
yeah, and it's so just fucking nice
Refreshing.
to like see the potential and the talent that you have finally like come together and do what they should have been doing from the start of the season. But yeah, no, like literally I was, because once again, I was working during this game, so I had to catch the highlights again. But I was getting notifications on my phone, and it was like Chelsea scored in the 8th minute, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's good start. Chelsea scored in the 10th minute. I was like, oh shit, okay. It was like scored again in the 30th minute. I was like, yo, why do I have to be working right now? But I did go back and watch the highlights. Kai Havertz, he had a good goal, but my boy Christian Pulisic finally fucking breaking through big time. And because I've harped on how shaky Pulisic's finishing is and how it just hasn't quite been there the past few games. And he's had great opportunities, but he just can't seem to put it in the back of the net. Had a brace this game, and what was his first one? The one off of the free kick, and it was saved, and he tapped it, or was
No, that was last week against
fuck.
Yeah, no.
No, I
So
completely forgot. What was?
so his goal against Crystal Palace, because I was able to watch it. I was able to watch a decent bit of the game. He had like the same goal he scored against Crystal Palace last year, where he was at like a tight angle on his left side, and
Oh
he
yeah,
shot
he
with his
went
left
near
foot and just
post.
went like up and over the keeper at the
Yeah.
near post. So that was a really nice finish, and then he followed it up obviously with the back post. It was almost like a deflected cross that he was able to get in position for. But
That's right.
like you were saying though with him is that he always like finds himself in good spots, which I will say, um, I would rather him be that guy, the guy that finds himself in good spots and then just kind of doesn't finish because he's off finishing, than be the guy that like just never finds himself in good spots,
Yeah.
but every now and then he'll bang some shit from like 25 yards. So I think you'd rather be the guy that is always in the right spot because form is temporary, but like that mindset and that football smarts that he has that gets him in those positions constantly. That'll always last with him. And yeah, I think he's just like a real like I think he's a confidence player, at least when it comes to his finishing.
Yeah.
And I could see him turning this because that's 4 goals in his last 3 games. He scored 2 this game, scored 1 the game before. Well, 4 goals in his last 3 starts.
Yeah.
2 goals this game, 1 in the game before against Sheffield United, and then he scored
West Brom.
oh no, it was against West Brom, not Sheffield United, and then he scored in the game for the U.S. against Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
and so he's getting on goal scoring form. Hopefully he continues to put it together. I'd like to see him. I hope he starts against Porto in the midweek.
Yeah. And then, but no, as you were saying, where it's like he always finds himself in the right spot. I think the exact opposite is Timo. That man is never in the right spot, but then it's like every now and then he'll like.
Well, he'll just miss too when he gets
Well,
in
yeah,
those spots.
if he is in the right spot, he'll fucking pull it wide, or he'll miss a 1v1. This shit is so fucking annoying. I don't
I
know
don't.
why he still plays.
Yeah, I can't get like any kind of, especially with the way Pulisic is playing now, and you saw him and Havertz up top with Mount behind him.
Yeah, that's
That
such
should
a
be your
good
three.
combo.
Like the way that they played in that game, that should be your three going forward. Because Mount has been on, he's been Chelsea's most consistent player the whole season.
Yeah,
And then Havertz and Pulisic have been really good as of late. So that's got to be
and then
your lineup going forward.
all you fuck faces out there that were trying to be like, sell Pulisic. He's injury prone. He's not fucking good anymore. And all y'all that are like sucking off Timo, go fuck yourself.
Well, because
Go
Timo
fucking
runs.
fuck yourself.
Timo, he just runs a lot.
Yeah,
So
he runs all
He's
the
got
time.
fucking passion,
Yeah,
bro.
he's pace, fucking, he's got energy. I don't give a fuck. He's our striker number one in air quotes,
And he
doesn't fucking score.
He scored what, like once in the last like 25
He
Premier
doesn't
League
even
games?
score PKs, bro. Like, I don't get it, dude. Like, why the fuck do
I don't
people
understand.
back him?
I can understand like the whole that shit does not make sense to me because people I see the argument for him is like, oh, he makes really good runs that like helps other teammates out, and oh, he's always a
Which
threat,
he does.
which is
Like,
good. But when you're a striker, you have to fucking score. I
Yeah.
don't care. You either have to score or like consistently get assists. I know Timo gets some assists. He's halfway decent at assisting, but
Yeah.
you've got to be involved with goals. At least every other game, and he obviously doesn't do that. And he's so poor in front of goal that, yeah, I don't know.
I don't get how people are backing him. Like,
Yeah.
and then not Pulisic, especially after the past like 3 or 4 games that he.
And the
Pulisic
thing
has
too
played.
about Pulisic is that you'd think the guy's like 30 years old and that like, oh, he's injured. His
Yeah.
career's he's 22. He, I think I read something. He's actually the most capped 22-year-old player in world football. Like at least that plays in like the top leagues.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Because he's been playing professional football since he was 17 at Dortmund,
Yeah,
and so he's got huge amounts of experience already. And I think that because of that, people forget that okay, this kid's still only 22 years old. He still has plenty of time to rectify, his injury issues, and hopefully he stays healthy. Because when he's healthy, he is a deadly player. And I've seen multiple Chelsea fans say that with how good Mount's been this season. When Pulisic is healthy and he's firing, he's Chelsea's best player. He's their most dangerous player. He's the guy that gets the ball and like you just know that something is going to happen. Like he's going to dribble past someone. Yeah,
like
he's got like that first touch. He's just explosive.
Yeah, and he can get by 1, if not 2, like defenders. And we even saw what was it against Sheffield where he got by 3 at once. Like he has that fucking
he has like that special
Messi-esque ability to get by multiple guys without even having to like pass the ball. Like, and then, but yeah, obviously we all know we back Pulisic, but enough about him. I want to get back to that Crystal Palace game. Finally, I talked about it on one of our earlier podcasts, but I like how Kurt Zuma's aerial threat, especially off of corners, that man can absolutely get up, and he did in this game. He got a nice header goal off of a corner. So that was good. Good to see him finally get one back. And then for Crystal Palace, Christian Benteke also got a nice header goal, which there's not much Mendy can do about that. I mean, he was close to the goal and had nice pace on it and put it in the back left corner. So it's whatever. But I will take a 4-1 victory every fucking day of the week.
And y'all just got to keep doing. You're kind of like in the same week we spoke about Liverpool. You just got to keep winning. There's like all those. It's really, if we're being real, it's Liverpool, Chelsea, West Ham, and Leicester that are all fighting for 2 spots in the top 4.
Yeah.
And so you just got to keep winning. It seems like Leicester may be doing that same thing again, where they start shitting the bed at the end of the season. And so as long as you guys keep winning, I could see. I mean, if I had to choose today, I'd probably say West Ham and Chelsea are without looking at the tape or without looking at like fixtures because I don't exactly know who West Ham plays.
It's going to be tough for us though, dude. Because if we're not counting the FA Cup and we're not counting the Champions League, we have Brighton, which Brighton's quality, but I feel like we could beat them.
Yeah, you
should.
We have you play West Ham.
West Ham, which is a big one.
That's huge.
I feel like we'll beat Fulham, no problem. But then we have Man City, Arsenal, Leicester, and even Aston Villa with Grealish.
Yeah, at the end of the season at Aston Villa, damn, y'all have a tough run-in.
Yeah, so
I wonder what West Ham's run-in looks like.
It could get a little dicey.
West Ham, they've got Newcastle, obviously Chelsea, Burnley, Everton, Brighton, West Brom, and Southampton. Yikes.
Yeah, so
y'all have to beat West Ham when y'all play.
Yep. And I would, dude, honestly, fuck, man. If I had to pick one to to beat Man City, as much as I would like for us to beat them in the Premier League, like to secure a top 4 spot, I would like to see us win the FA Cup.
Yeah, because if you're thinking at it from a logical standpoint, that is really the FA Cup final because the other semifinal is Leicester and Southampton.
Yeah.
And you'd think, whoever wins City and Chelsea will probably win the FA Cup. So,
You would think.
yeah. Because the bottom line is like people always have this big thing about making the top 4, which I agree. It brings in, a lot of extra money that you can spend on players. And then, too, just playing in the Champions League is great. But at the end of the day, if you don't win that Champions League the season after you make top 4, then like when you look back on it in 5-10 years, you're like, well, I don't really give a shit that we made the Champions League and then lost in the round of 16 or whatever. I would have much rather had the memory of winning the FA Cup that'll last, for a lifetime. So, yeah. But anyways, let's move on. Let's move on again. We'll move on to Sunday. United they played against Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs, obviously the only team from the Big Six that didn't have a midweek game because they're no longer in any European competition. And so they played United. They got a 1-0 lead. Well, actually, there's a little bit of controversy in that game. I don't know if you saw it, but Cavani scored to take a 1-0 lead, but it was brought back like 30 seconds, or not 30 seconds, but like 15 seconds before the goal. McTominay kind of threw his hand back and kind of like scraped Son on the side of the face. And Son went down, obviously, like he had just been shot in the head.
Yeah, I was about to say, I saw a video where he was literally down for like
3 minutes.
Yeah.
And they reviewed it for a while, and they eventually chalked the goal off for that, which is kind of interesting because McTominay was on a yellow card. And if you're going to give a foul for that, it probably should be a yellow card too. But I think with VAR, you can't go in there and give a yellow card to someone. You can only take away a red card and then turn it into a yellow card instead. And obviously, he wasn't going to be a red card in the first place. But so that goal was chalked off. Then Son scored completely fine. Like 2 minutes later, all of a sudden his face was perfectly fine. He scored to give Spurs the 1-0 lead. But
did you? Sorry to interrupt, but did you see what like Ole said?
Yeah, that was kind of
Son?
funny.
I was like, what the fuck?
He just kind of fed the fuck up. He's like, if my son did that, he wouldn't have eaten that.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit!
It's like, damn.
God.
And then Jose Mourinho hit back at him today.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Fuck, what did he say? He said some shit to Ole like,
Oh wait, okay.
If my son stays down like this for 3 minutes and he gets 10 of his mates around him, if he gets that in the face from one of his other mates, and he needs 10 mates to help him up.
Mates.
Yeah,
it's all about the mates.
Won't get any food.
You're fucking starving that night.
The first time we played.
God.
I just want to say, Sonny is very lucky that his father is a better person than Ole.
I hate Mourinho, but I also love him at the same time.
Yeah, but father, I think a father, you have always to feed your kids. Doesn't matter what they do.
I love how Mourinho took it like literally. Like,
Yeah.
you have to feed your kids.
If you're not feeding your fucking kids,
You're a
very
horrible
dick.
father.
you're a fucking terrible person.
Because with me, like we say in Portugal, bread is bread and cheese is cheese.
Obviously.
I told already Ole what I think about his comments. And I have to tell you that I'm very, very disappointed that in 5, 6, 7 questions you ignore the dimension of that comment. You guys.
What?
That's class.
Jesus, cheese, and bread is bread. That's what I got. That was a pretty good clapback.
That's class from Mourinho. Like I said, I despise Mourinho, but at the same time, he is fucking hilarious. But anyways, yeah, so Spurs, they took the 1-0 lead, but United, they turned it around. Ended up winning 3-1. Cavani did get his goal late in that game, like in the 79th or 80th minute, got a diving header, really nice goal to give him the 2-1 lead. And then Mason Greenwood capped it off at the end with his goal to make it 3-1 for United. I think that just about, unless something crazy happens, pushes Spurs out of the top 4 race. It's kind of like when we just talked about it, we didn't really mention them. And then at the same time, United are in top 4 100%. I mean, they could play pretty shitty for the rest of the season as long as they don't lose every game, or lose majority of their games. They're still going to make the top 4. So that was a big win for them. And I think they're now 20-something games on the road, undefeated in the Premier League. And we can say what we want about them and how we think they get lucky every now and then. Well, I think it's true, and they're penalty merchants, which I also think is true. But 20-plus games in the Premier League unbeaten is a really impressive stat. And that's that's credit to Ole. He's been there for a few years. he was a guy, especially at the beginning of his reign, that split the fan base's opinion on him. They didn't know if he was good enough to coach at United, and I think he's kind of coming around and turning them into a solid team. And yeah, we'll see how that pushes them forward. And so, moving on to the last game of the weekend from the Big Six, Arsenal played yesterday afternoon, playing against Sheffield United. Look, I'm not going to get over the top about it. It was a 3-0 win against a terrible team. Sheffield United are not good. We have to remember that. We have to take some kind of, at the same time, you have to give Arsenal a little bit of credit, coming off of a few bad performances. And they put in a good one, well-deserved 3-0 win. I think that probably is just about right the way the game was played. Sheffield United really offered nothing. I think they had like one decent opportunity in the whole game. It was like in the first 15 minutes, and it was like a halfway decent opportunity. It wasn't even like a golden chance. And yeah, we controlled the game. Got Alex Lacazette got a couple of goals, and which is good for him because he was the one that was just putrid against Slavia Prague. He was the one that missed that golden opportunity one-on-one with a goalie. And he scored a couple this game, one off of a beautiful team move. It just brought a smile to my face. The first goal that we scored in that game, it was somebody passed it in. I don't know if it was. I think it was Partey passed it into Lacazette. Then he first time slipped it to Saka, who first time slipped it to Ceballos, who backheel flicked it to Lacazette through on goal for a first time finish. That goal was peak Wenger ball. I know Arsene Wenger is smiling somewhere after seeing that goal, and just reminds you of that's just the type of goals, regardless of how Arsenal have played this season, regardless of how we played the last few seasons. That's what we're known for is playing beautiful football, scoring beautiful goals. So that was very nice to see. And then, we made it 2-0 later in that game in the second half through Martinelli. It was great to see him get his goal, his first start of the season in the Premier League, or I think his second start after he started against Manchester United a few months ago, but his first start in a while. And it was a good play by Nicolas Pepe. It was a good save by Aaron Ramsdale, Sheffield United keeper, and then Martinelli just being in the right place at the right time. He kind of has like that poacher. I noticed about that about him is that like that's an underrated aspect of his game is he's kind of just like always in the right spot, and was there perfectly and easy to tap in at the back post off the rebound. And then the last goal of the game, with only a few minutes left, Alex Lacazette, is played through by Partey, which, by the way, Partey received the ball, a pass from the center back, had a defender on his back, and like spun and controlled the ball at the same time, left the defender in the dust, then whipped the ball around the center back, through on goal for Lacazette, a beautiful pass. And then Lacazette last time, it was really similar to the Slavia Prague one. He had plenty of time to go through on goal. And instead of just overthinking it, this time he just put his foot through it. He kind of opened his body up like he was going to go near post and then deceive the goalkeeper and then pulled it back to the far post. A good finish by him. Wish he would have done that on Thursday, but good to see him. Good to see him get it right this time, and hopefully he can carry that confidence over into the game on Thursday. So a good win. It's always good to. You don't want to draw or lose to Sheffield United going to Prague this week on Thursday. That would just be terrible for the team's confidence. So as much as I'm not going to put much into this game, like I've said already in this pod, the league is pretty much dead in my opinion. There's maybe a chance at eking into a Europa League spot, but for the most part, I think the league's dead. But it's always good to win. It's always good to win, get the confidence going before the biggest game of the season on Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. Since Sling isn't here, we're not going to give our picks update for this week. We'll save that for next week. We still have plenty of this month left, so we'll let Sling take care of that next week, and we'll jump right into the U.S. men's national team rundown this week.
But yeah, so we had another great week for our boys across Europe. We already spoke on Captain America, Christian Pulisic, finding his form again. But a man that just keeps his form going is Daryl DK. He continues his great run with yet another goal on the weekend for Barnsley in a 2-0 victory over Middlesbrough in the championship.
Another game, another goal. The dude just seems to score every single game at this point as he continues just to get more and more hype across Europe. He's came into the championship. I did not see this coming. Stephen A.
Yes, sir.
In a million years. No, I didn't see Daryl DK doing this well in the championship. I thought that he would do decent. I have to be honest, I didn't know a ton about him. But I thought he would do decent just because of his physical stature and strength and athleticism, and that's really what does really well in the championship because it's a really physical league. Um, but he's just a really good finisher. You look at his XG, the expected goal stat, and he's like performing way above his XG, which is always great for a striker. Who knows how long that'll last because that's something that it's not always going to be like that unless you're just the elite of the elite, which, hey, maybe he is. He's only 20 years old. He keeps getting talked up. I'm pretty sure he's been linked to almost every single Big Six side. He's been linked to teams like Everton and stuff like that as well. And so if he keeps going, I mean, he might get Barnsley promoted to the Premier League. They're 3 points clear of 6 right now. Obviously, like we said, 3 through 6 gets to play in those playoffs. And then I think more importantly, they're 5 points clear of the team that's in 7th. So it looks like they are going to get a shot to play at Wembley in those championship playoffs to get promoted. And hopefully he can continue his form for Barnsley and carry it over into those Nation League and Gold Cup games in the summer for the national team.
Yeah. But staying in England, Anthony Robinson went 90 minutes in a huge game for Fulham and put in an overall solid performance. But unfortunately for the Cottagers, they conceded in the dying seconds of the game and suffered a devastating loss.
Yeah, I watched that. I know we've kind of been on this podcast twerking a little bit for Fulham. We want Newcastle to go down. We want someone to go down other than Fulham. But I'm not going to say it's the nail in the coffin, but the guy's got his hammer out, and he's getting ready to fucking start pounding shit.
Yeah.
Wait,
pause.
It's getting kind of... I did that on purpose.
Whoa.
Anyways, it's getting kind of dire for Fulham. Not only do they lose that game in the last seconds, great goal by Adama Traore. I think it was the first goal he scored in the Premier League since like December 2019. But not only do they lose that game, but Newcastle then followed it up with a comeback win against Burnley, and so that's essentially a 6-point swinger. Now Newcastle are 6 points clear of Fulham. Hell, even West Brom, they're only 2 points behind Fulham, so they're now trying to survive as well. And yeah, it's not looking good for Fulham and Anthony Robinson and our boy Tim Ream as well, even though he never plays.
Yeah, we don't really associate with Tim Ream. But over in Turkey, Tyler Boyd found himself with another brace for Sivasspor in a midweek win over Antalyaspor in the Turkish Super League.
We'll say that's it.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to pronounce that shit either.
Close enough. But yeah, so that was good for him. But then on some somber news in Turkey, DeAndre Yedlin left the game early for Galatasaray in what looked like a potentially bad ankle/lower leg injury. Prayers up for DeAndre.
Yeah, it looked really bad in the. I saw the video of it and like the picture. It looked like his ankle was just like completely turned in half. The initial report though out of Turkey is that it may just be an ankle sprain with a chance of a fracture, and so if that's the case, he probably should only be out for a little bit.
Like Dak Prescott and his cramp.
Yeah. Well, he's just cramping. No, but yeah, so that's good because, obviously he'll be a part of the plans this summer, whether it's for the Nations League or Gold Cup. So we want to see him healthy for that. And a guy that's playing into the plans for the summer, like you just said, Tyler Boyd. I mean, he keeps scoring goals. Now Sivasspor isn't a brilliant team. Turkish league isn't a great league, but it's a solid league. And if he continues to score goals, I can't see. I don't know why he wouldn't get called in because what it looks like we're going to do is, you don't want to play. So basically, the way the schedule is set up, that you have the Nations League like right when the season ends, and so you call in your best players for that because that's the first ever Nations League. You want to win that, beat Mexico and all, and so we have that But then there's like a little bit of a break, and then you have the Gold Cup. And so what the consensus is that more than likely we're going to call in our first team for the Nations League and then send like a second team, a B or C team for the Gold Cup, because you don't want your guys playing the entire season for club and then playing the entire season or the entire summer as well. They're just going to get burned out and risk injuries and all. And so I could see Tyler Boyd's not going to be in that Nations League roster, but I could see him getting called in for that Gold Cup roster.
Yeah.
Same with Yedlin. I don't know if he'll be on the Nations League roster either, but he definitely should be on the Gold Cup roster as long as he's healthy.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we're gonna switch it over and go into Italy. Our boy Weston McKennie in the midfield was back on the scoring sheet for Juventus with the final goal in a 3-1 victory over Genoa on Sunday.
Yeah, they actually I think they brought him in like right at right wing, which I don't know why the fuck he keeps playing out wide for them. Kind of getting sick of that.
He can do it all.
Yeah, but I
I'd
don't.
much
I
rather
also
have
don't
him
know
in
why
the
he's not starting. Maybe it's like a little bit of punishment because you did, you heard about that shit where he's like
where he's
partying and
partying
shit.
with Dybala
Whatever.
and Arthur.
Yeah, he's a young dude in Italy. He's just partying with some beautiful Italian women. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. But yeah, he came on late in the game, got his goal. Really nice, taking like really calm finish. And yeah, he now has 5 goals in Italy or in the Italian league this season in Serie A, and that is actually he's equaled his 5 goals this season has equaled the most goals any national team player, U.S. men's national team player has ever scored combined. So the only other 2 players that have ever scored goals in the Italian league is Lawless scored 2, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know he played in Serie A, and then Michael Bradley scored 3 when he was at Roma. And so he has 5 on his own right now, not even through a full season. So the best American to ever play in the Serie A is Weston McKennie, basically.
Yeah, and he's like 7 years old, so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. But yeah, we're gonna stay in Italy. 19-year-old Brian Reynolds, the right back, got his first start for Roma in a 1-0 victory.
Yeah, saw some kind of like mixed reviews on him. They basically said that he looked nervous. I guess understandable. Your first ever
I
start
probably would be
for
too.
Roma. You're only 19 years old. But they said that he kind of grew into the game. He got better. I saw there's a pretty cool clip. I'm forgetting the dude's last name, but there's a center back on Roma that Reynolds like got overly aggressive on one play and came into the midfield and left space back around him and behind. And his center back was kind of getting on to him about it. And there was a very similar situation like shortly after that later in the game where the same thing happened. And instead of getting aggressive and going to the midfield, he stayed back and covered that runner and then picked off the pass, an interception. And the dude dapped him up and everything. So I thought that was cool. Nice little learning experience for Reynolds. Like I said on the pod a couple of weeks ago, I thought that he looked like just like a really good raw talent when he came into the game against Northern Ireland for the men's national team. So hopefully he keeps building his craft because he's got all the. You can tell he's kind of got all like the athletic tools, and he's a good dribbler of the ball. He's a pretty good overall soccer player, football player, and but he just needs to fine tune his craft. Which he's only 19. It's his first ever start in the top 5 leagues, so he'll get there eventually.
Yeah, but then we're gonna switch it over to France. Tim Weah came off the bench for Lille this weekend. He had a great run that set up a corner for the second goal in that match in a 2-0 win over Metz. And then Lille remained 3 points clear of PSG at the top of League 1 with just 6 games left in the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he just hasn't really been starting games as much recently. I kind of would have expected him to start this game because Jonathan David is out. Their other striker is out with an injury, but he didn't start. He came off the bench. And yeah, his run was really nice. There's a video of it on Twitter I watched. He beat a couple of guys and then ended up earning a corner out of it. That corner resulted in that second goal. And we know the most important part about that second goal is the fact that his what if card on FIFA Ultimate Team now gets upgraded. Sir. So just brilliant by Timothy Weah.
Got that man in my lineup. I needed that.
And so Lille, I think they have like one big test left, and they play Lyon soon. And if they can survive that test, they might pull it off. They might be able to take the French league away from PSG this season.
Yes, sir. I'm going to switch it up over into Germany. Gio Reyna found himself finally back on the stat sheet with an assist for Dortmund in a 3-2 win over Stuttgart. It won't show up on the stat sheet, but he also played a pivotal part of Dortmund's second goal, one of his better performances overall in recent months for the club.
Yeah, I think maybe his best performance for the club. He got the start. I thought he played pretty decent against Man City when he came on during the week, and so I think he might have just gotten rewarded for that with the start. He obviously played really well for the men's national team in those 2 friendlies, but back on the stat sheet, it was a nice assist. Jude Bellingham, another young star at Dortmund, scored the goal. And then I shared that, I actually tweeted about it on Twitter. Go follow Clueless Yanks. That there's a video of him in the lead up to the second goal. He received a pass and all in one move, he trapped the ball, spun, and then took off running. He just completely left the defender in the dust. I think it's just something that he's so good at that's like underrated. I don't think anybody else on the national team, including Mr. Pulisic, they can't do it as efficiently and as smooth as he does it. And I think that's just so huge because when we play a team like Mexico that's going to press us, the fact that he can do that and just get the ball, number one, just hold the ball up, but at the same time he can spin and turn into an attack, leave a defender in the dust. I mean, that'd be huge against Mexico's press. And so, yeah, hopefully he's starting to find his form again for Dortmund. I know he had kind of like a little bit of a lapse after a strong start to the season, but once again, he guy's 18 years old. He has plenty of time because he's really really good at basically everything except for that final bit, whether it's the final pass or the final shot. But he's got plenty of time to work on that and get better in in those categories.
Man City's little baby Pulisic with his fucking finishing. But yeah, we're gonna stay in Germany with John Brooks over at Wolfsburg. They proved over the weekend that they are not a brick wall after all, losing a 4-3 thriller to Frankfurt.
Yeah, they kind of. I was hoping John could maybe do Reina a positive, help him out a little bit because Wolfsburg and not Wolfsburg, Dortmund and Frankfurt are fighting for that fourth spot in the Bundesliga table, that fourth and last spot in for the Champions League. And now Frankfurt are still 6 or 7 points clear of them, and actually Frankfurt are only 1 point behind Wolfsburg, and so they actually might jump Wolfsburg now. But it looks like it's going to be Bayern, Leipzig, Frankfurt, and Wolfsburg in whatever kind of order for the Champions League. There's not a lot of time left for Dortmund, for Gio, and Dortmund to get back in that race, unfortunately. But yeah, after keeping clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet, they gave up 4 this weekend. So
yeah,
and I will say it was
finally busted.
Yeah, it was 3-3. And Brooks had a header like very late in the game when it was still 3-3, and it hit the fucking post. Or a second than the game-winning header, so that was a little unfortunate.
Yeah, well, we're gonna stay in Germany one more time for Tyler Adams and Josh Sargent. God, I fucking hate having to say his name. They faced off over the weekend where Tyler and Leipzig got the better of Josh and Werder Bremen by a 4-1 scoreline.
Yeah, just a good team and a not so good team. Yeah. Nothing against Josh, but Werder Bremen are just not that great. He played like at left wing in that game. I don't exactly know what the fuck his manager is doing with him. His manager raves about him, and he's like, "Oh, he's this great young player. He's going to be a star for the future to come." And then you play him out of position in like half the game. So I don't get what he's trying. I guess Sargent is really good at hold up play and involving his teammates. So maybe that's what he thought. He does it on the wing. He'll get some assists and stuff, but obviously didn't. And then another one in Germany, game just got finished a few hours ago. Actually, is Chris Richards. He started for Hoffenheim against Leverkusen in a pretty big, tough game, and hey, he kept the clean sheet. The 0-0 draw. So he finally keeps a clean sheet. I don't know how many clean sheets he's kept at Hoffenheim since he's been there on loan, but it hasn't been very many.
I've heard though Hoffenheim is looking to actually
sign him permanently. Yeah.
So that'll be good.
What was cool about that is I saw that too, and then I saw a bunch of Bayern fans being like, "No, don't let that happen." So I was like, "Yes, they rate him." Like, "Oh, he's gonna be our center back for the future." And I saw some, because I guess they're fed up with Sula or whatever at Bayern, and they're like, "No, bring him back and play him over Sula."
Richards baby prime Boateng.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it for the men's national team talk this week. We'll jump back into the Premier League talk. We'll jump back into now the Big Six preview. Unfortunately, we would normally in this situation go to our Sling Speaks segment of the podcast, but obviously our guy's out with the flu, out with COVID, out with whatever he has, out with the sickness.
Yeah,
he's down bad at the moment, so he won't be able to be here for that. So we're going to skip that. He'll make up for it next week, and we'll jump into our Big Six preview for this week. All right, so we start off in the midweek. We start off in the Champions League tomorrow evening. Well, evening in the UK, afternoon here in the States. Chelsea, they host Porto with that big 2-0 aggregate lead, and more importantly, those 2 away goals. What are you thinking for the game?
I'm thinking, like I said earlier,
Pulisic has to start, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Not even just bias. Like, he should be starting.
Yeah. I think we try to dominate possession again. That's what we do in most of our games. I do think that because Porto knows that they have to come out and attack and try to score, I'm saying Porto does get 1 goal. but I'm also saying that we get a goal. And I'm saying that we draw with Porto 1-1, but we go on through to the next round.
See, I think you're being modest there. I'm going for. I think with Pulisic backfiring, I think Chelsea have been a new team under Tuchel. They've been a lot better, but I think when you add Pulisic into that, they're going to be a lot better. I think they turn into a very good team, and so I think Chelsea's going to. I agree. I think Porto, because there's some poor numbers, I think they might get the breakthrough, but I think Chelsea will still win this game. I'm going to give them a 2-1 victory.
Okay.
Then we move on to Wednesday, 2 big games in the Champions League from the Big Six. We'll start off with Liverpool. They hope to try and do an Anfield Miracle Part 2 against Real Madrid. I don't know if that's going to happen, though. I'm going to just go ahead and say this is tough for me because Liverpool's got to pour so many numbers forward. And
they definitely have the attack and the quality to put up goals.
Yeah, but then at the same time, when you pour that many numbers forward, Real Madrid have the quality to counterattack the shit out of you and score 3. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. I'm going to go 2-2 draw. I think it's going to be a crazy game.
I was thinking about that, but I don't think it's going to be a draw. Honestly, I think Madrid's. Damn it. I don't know. I think Real Madrid's going to come out and take care of business. I think that they win 2-1.
So I was thinking about that.
I predicted that last week, I want to say, and I was close, but they won 3-1, so I'm going to go 2-1 this week again.
All right, moving on to the other game that day at the same time. Manchester City, they travel to Germany looking to finish the job against Dortmund. Obviously, they're winning 2-1 on aggregate, but Dortmund did get that big away goal that leaves them some hope. They know if they come out and they hold it, they win 1-0. They'd go through if they can hold City to no goals. However, that is very difficult. What are you thinking scoreline for this game?
I'm thinking City was playing with their food in the first round. And I think that they weren't playing to their max potential. So I'm saying that City comes out and shows Dortmund what they're made of. And I'm saying City wins 3-1.
See, I'm saying Gio Reyna has his coming out party.
Oh, shit.
And he scores a hat trick.
Okay.
I don't even know if he'll start. But, yeah, I'm going to go with City as well. I'm just going to go with the repeat score of the first game. I think 2-1. I think they'll have a sense of caution because they know that if they keep a clean sheet, they're through. And so I don't know if they'll be pouring numbers forward as they usually do. But at the same time, I know Dortmund will be pouring numbers forward, and so I think City will get them on the counter once or twice. And I think that Dortmund, they do have enough quality with guys like Haaland, Royce, our guy Gio, even though I don't even know if he'll start. But
he's the better of those three.
Haaland's one of the best strikers in the world, and so I think maybe he gets a goal in this game. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 Manchester City victory.
Okay.
Moving on to the Europa League, we got Manchester United trying as well, just like their neighbors, just like City. They're trying to finish the job. This time they get to host Granada. They've won the tie, in my opinion, already, winning 2-0 in Spain. I don't see any situation where they lose this game, especially by the amount of goals that you need to lose it by for them to not go through. In fact, I think they'll probably win this game. I think they just have so much more quality than Granada in the first place. And I'm going to go with I'm going same thing. I'm going repeat scoreline. I'm going 2-0 United.
I was thinking about going with a repeat, but then again, Man United, it's they'll either pour on goals against a shitty team, or in this case where they know they don't have to, they'll literally
just sit back. It could be a 0-0. I could see that too.
See, I'm saying that it's 1-0 for Man United.
That's not a bad scoreline.
I'm saying that they're really lackadaisical on the attack, but I think that they're just better, that they'll end up getting one.
All right, moving on to Arsenal. It's a big one for the boys. I think it's a big one, more importantly, for Mikel Arteta. I think that this could be his job. I think if he loses this game, or, he doesn't have to lose. If he draws 0-0, they're out. I think if they don't go through against Slavia Prague, I think Arteta's probably done. Well, okay, I say that, But I've also seen like the people at the club, the important people higher up at the club that have said that they fully back him and they're already planning for the summer transfer window. So who knows if he gets sacked? For me, I've been on this pod multiple times in support of Arteta, but if we don't go through against Slavia Prague, that's me. I'm not going to say get him out, but that's me just not done giving a shit. Like I don't care if he gets fired, he gets fired. It would be just, in my opinion. And so yeah, it's a huge game. I liked what we did against Sheffield United. We changed up the formation. We went with it was like it was really weird. So what we did is essentially when we were in possession, it was obviously you have Bernd Leno in goal, you have Holding and Pablo Mari at center back, and then we had Callum Chambers at right back. But then we had Granit Xhaka at left back. And then in midfield, it was almost like Thomas Partey was by himself in the midfield. And then Danny Ceballos was out wide playing like left mid, left wing. And then you had Bukayo Saka playing the 10, Nicolas Pepe playing right wing, Alexander Lacazette playing striker, and then Martinelli was playing like a left forward position. But that was in possession. And when we went back in defense, Ceballos slipped into the midfield to help out defend. And so I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that lineup without Kieran Tierney. I like the fact that Xhaka's out there just because he's naturally left-footed. And it was either him or Saka, and you really want Saka's like quality going forward. So I didn't mind him in the number 10 spot. Another question I have is Martin Odegaard going to be fit for this game? Is Emil Smith Rowe going to be fit for this game? Obviously, they were out last game. Same with Aubameyang, but Aubameyang, it doesn't matter to me. I think he should be on the bench regardless. I think Lacazette played really well against Sheffield United. I think you ride his confidence in this game, and I think he'll have a point to prove. He's a professional. He's played this game for a while. He knows that he fucked up in the first leg and should have had probably 2 goals in that game. And so I think he'll be playing with a point to prove. And on top of that, he seems like a confidence player, and I know his confidence now is going to be pretty good after scoring a brace against Sheffield United. And so for me in this game, I would go with, I want to give my lineup. I'm going to go with Bernd Leno in goal. I'm going to stick Cedric back out there at right back. I don't really want Chambers playing this game, especially when we know we need to score, because he's really more of a center back. I'm going to stick Holding back there at center back again. I'm going to go with Gabriel. I'll put him back in for Pablo Mari. Xhaka stays at left back for me. Partey obviously is number 6. That's pretty self-explanatory. I kind of like Ceballos in that interchanging role between wide when we're going on attack and then back in the midfield to help defend. So, and I mean, with Xhaka playing at left back, your only other option in that situation is maybe Mohamed El Nini, and I don't think he can do the things attacking that Ceballos can do. So I'd keep Ceballos in the midfield. I would assume I think Odegaard's going to be back, so I would play Odegaard in number 10. I think then you slide Bukayo Saka back out to the right, which is kind of harsh on Pepe because he's been really good, but you can't sit Bukayo Saka, in my opinion. Like I said, you play Alexander Lacazette up top, and then I'm praying to the heavens that Mikel Arteta starts Martinelli. Like, he played good, he got his goal against Sheffield United. You got to start him. He just provides like this energy and this press that you know you're going to need. You know you have to score, and if he starts Willian, if he starts Willian, he deserves to get sacked. That's all I got to say. But with that being said, God, I feel so bad about this game. Like, you just have like these hunches and like this feeling in your stomach. I do not feel good about this game, but I refuse. I refuse to pick against my boys, against the Arsenal, and my mind is telling me that. No, but my body. My mind is telling me that we like fucking draw 1-1 and lose on penalties or some shit. But my heart is telling me that we win 3-1, and that's what I'm going to go with my heart.
My dick's telling me we win 10-0.
I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory for Arsenal. I think they show up. I think that a lot of these players, they come out and talk about how much they like Mikel Arteta. And if you really like him and you like the manager, you like the way that he goes about his business, and he's a good player manager, then it's your job to save his job on Thursday, and I think they'll go out there, they'll play for him. More importantly, play for the badge, and I think that they'll get a big win in Prague, who, by the way, haven't lost at home this entire season, so that's across any competition, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm going to go sorry. I think Slavia Prague's goal was fluky, obviously, off of a really just dumbass play. So I think they don't score in this next game. And I think y'all put up 2 goals on them and go through.
That would be beautiful. There's no goals at all. Just please, Arsenal, just score in like the first 20 minutes of the game. Because as soon as we score, we get that away goal, it knocks out their away goal. And now we know that if we score again, it almost counts as double because then you have more away goals. So just get the first goal, at least by the first half. Just get that first goal away. Even if they score, it doesn't change your motive at all. It doesn't change what you have to do at all. But just make sure you get your goal by the time the first half is over. And I will be feeling a lot better about our situation, as long as we didn't get our goal and then we also gave up 3 and we're still down 3-1 in the game. But anyways, so please, Arsenal, please, I'm on my fucking knees begging. Do not do this again. I can't take this. My mental health cannot take you fucking this up again. I'm sick of this shit. Anyways, moving on to the weekends. We have Spurs, obviously, once again, we talk about the Big Six. It's really the Big Five are in the European competitions. And little Spurs, they just have to play on the weekends. And
Yep.
in the Premier League, because they are out of the Europa League. But they kick us off on the weekend. I think they actually might be playing on Friday. And they play at Everton. That's an interesting game for me. Last time they played at Everton, it was like one of the games of the season in the FA Cup. What was it, like 6-5 or 5-4, whatever it was, in extra time? And I don't know if it'll be that crazy of a game again, but I think it's going to be a good game. And I am going to go with a 1-1 draw.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Everton.
Okay. See, for me, a 1-1 draw would be perfect because Arsenal are trying to chase those Europa League spots, and if both of them drop points, that's the perfect scenario because they're both ahead of us. So I'm praying that they both drop points, but at the same time, I would not be upset with Everton winning.
Because why?
Because fuck Spurs.
Amen.
All right. Let's move on to the FA Cup, actually, later in that day for on Saturday. Chelsea have got a couple big games this week, but
yes, they do.
They have a very interesting one at Wembley on Saturday in the FA Cup semifinal against Manchester City.
All right. Let me take y'all back. The last time we played Man City, they stomped our little fucking buttholes so fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
It was hard to watch. I watched that game live with our friend who is a Man City fan, and yeah, well, air quotes. But let's just say it was not a fun experience for me. But that was under Lampard. Who are we under right now? Fucking Tuchel, and he is
Thomas Tuchel's Blue Army,
leading us to success. And we have a fucking informed Pulisic right now.
Okay, hold up. Before we make this prediction, because obviously this can go to like extra time and shit.
Yeah.
We're picking the full time prediction, like 90 minutes.
Okay.
So like if you think it's going to go to extra time and y'all win on penalties, you would still pick it as a draw. So let me just get that out of the way.
All right. Now, fast forwarding to this game. I'm saying Man City, they're still a quality side. They're still going to win the league, in my opinion. But I'm saying that we're coming for revenge. We're on a fucking revenge tour. And it's a big game. We know we want to win the FA Cup. I'm saying Chelsea comes back and wins this game
7-0.
No, because I'm stuck on either 2-1 or 3-2. Nah, I don't think we put up 3. I'm saying we win this game 2-1 full time.
Sheesh.
Yes, sir. That's a dub.
Let's see. I'm saying,
watch yourself.
I was gonna say 4-0 City, but I'll say 3-0 instead. No, I think this will be a good game, especially you have like you said, Chelsea have just been on form in general, but also Pulisic backfiring. He's the kind of guy that can win you games like this. I do wonder if Pulisic starts against Porto, will Tuchel turn around and then start him again against City? That's 3 straight starts in a week. I don't know. You just think about his injury.
He might blow his hammy.
Yeah, you think about his injury pass. I don't know if he'll do that. I think I'm going to pick the full-time score because I think this goes to extra time and where City win 2-1. So I'm going to pick a 1-1 draw because that's what I think the score is going to be at the end of regular time. But I think City win it in extra time 2-1.
It's not happening. It's not fucking happening.
But Pulisic is going to score, by the way. He's going to get the 1 goal, but
Pulisic's getting a hattie. Even though I picked 2-1, he's getting ahead.
All right, let's move on back to the Premier League action, which, by the way, we've already kind of came to the consensus of this that the Chelsea and Man City, whoever wins that is going to win the FA Cup. So it's pretty much the final, in our opinion.
Yeah.
But let's move back into the Premier League. We'll move on to Sunday. Arsenal, they host Fulham. We've got a pretty favorable run. It started last week, or this past, well, really yesterday, with Sheffield United. We got a favorable run into the end of the season. All you can do in the league is just try and win. Especially if we get through against Slavia Prague, you want to win just to keep up confidence. But number two, we're 5 points behind seventh place in Tottenham. Yeah, we're 5 points, or no, 4. We're 4 points off of them, which more than likely that seventh place spot will get you the Europa League this year. So, if you're only 4 points behind with 7 games left, that's not an insurmountable hill to climb. So keep winning, try and get in that Europa League spot. And I think we do win this game. I know Fulham are going to come. I don't think it's going to be an easy game because they know that now, especially after losing to Wolves, they're going to be fighting for their lives every single game. But I think we'll squeeze out a 2-1 victory.
Yeah, I think y'all win this game. I want to say 2-0. Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0.
It's weird. I can't pick a clean sheet for Arsenal. I just have too many
it's also hard
scars.
for me too because I know that y'all
have too
love
many
giving
mental
away fucking
scars.
goals.
Yes.
But
Even
I'm
if we
saying-
defend well, we'll just give away a fucking goal. That just happens 80% of the time.
I'm gonna put my trust in, which I guess I'm putting my trust in your defense.
I guess if there was a team to keep a clean sheet against, we kept one against Sheffield United, but Fulham, you probably should be able to keep a clean sheet against them as well, especially at home. Moving on later in the day on Sunday, you have United hosting Burnley. Another game where I think United will keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
I think United are just going to rack up another 2-0 victory, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm actually also going to pick that 2-0.
Straightforward. And I think that will, we've pretty much already said it, that they pretty much locked up top 4, but that will really, really lock up top 4.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the final game of the weekend. It's actually not on the weekend. It's a Monday 2 p.m. kickoff here, much like 8 p.m. over in Leeds, where the game will be held. Liverpool will be traveling to Leeds United to play. I think it's going to be a really interesting and good game.
Yeah.
But Liverpool, they know that they have to win this game to keep in the top 4 race. But at the same time, what's going to happen? I think I would really like to pick this after finding out what happens with them in Real Madrid. Because are they going to be running the high of making another great comeback in Anfield and going through the semifinals? Or they're going to be down in the dumps after getting beat and knocked out of the Champions League, and their confidence going to be real low. I think that's going to happen. But at the same time, you could say, okay, then they're going to come out with a point to prove now that they know that they only have the Premier League to worry about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with a win for Liverpool. With all their injuries in defense, I can't pick them to get a clean sheet either, but I think they'll get a 2-1 victory.
I'm saying that they draw 1-1.
All right. Yeah. Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised by that result at all. I wouldn't even be surprised if Leeds went there and won, to be honest. So that wraps up.
I was very close to picking them to win,
Yeah.
but I was like,
I think it just depends on the mentality. I think there's I'm pretty sure they'll go out to Real Madrid, but then there's one of two ways. You can either, give up on the season, or you can say, all right, pick up your bootstraps and say, look, this is all we got for the rest of the season. We need to try and get a top 4 to salvage anything from the season. So we'll see what kind of Liverpool team shows up for that game. Hopefully, in my case, they show up and get a victory.
Yeah.
So that wraps up our Premier League talk for the pod. That wraps up the pod almost. Before we get out of here, obviously, we've got to give our winners and losers of the week. We'll make sure Sling gives us his picks for the week. We'll have him go in here and put in his picks. So we can talk about that next week when he's back on the pod. Hopefully he's not dead by then and has recovered from his illness. But let's get into our winners and losers of the week. I'm gonna start us off. My winner and loser are kind of going hand in hand. I'm just gonna give both. My winner is Newcastle. We have on this pod several times picked them to get relegated and for Fulham to jump them. They're in pole position now after a big win over Burnley, and Fulham, who is my loser, with a massive, devastating loss against Wolves, especially in the last seconds of the game. So they are my winners and losers of the week. I like to mix it up every now and then, not just always pick a big six side. And so yeah, that's what I got for the week.
Yeah, my winners and loser also go hand in hand. My winner of the week is my boy Christian Pulisic. Finally coming back to that form that we know and love. And then my loser, which goes hand in hand, is all you fucks that doubted him and wanted to sell him and all that other bullshit. You guys are the losers. Fuck you guys.
Enough said.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and also, what have you learned this week? I remembered this time.
What did I learn this week? I don't know if I learned a lot. I could say some shit about Arsenal bottling it, but I didn't learn that. They've done that before. I learned that I don't know what you learned. Give some time for me to think about this.
Yeah. I learned that. So, I guess I learned that hosting events sucks. I could say I learned that, but I've kind of known that. We hosted the state tournament here last year as well, and it was also not fun. It was just a lot of work, and you had to make sure everything was going right. But yeah, I guess just reiterate the point that hosting a tournament for a lot of colleges to come and use your facilities is really, really not a fun time. So
I learned that because it's getting near the end of the season, Thomas Tuchel told Christian Pulisic that it's the playoffs now, and because it's the playoffs, an American thing, he's turning up, and that's why he's playing really good.
Okay, that's
It's
fine.
time for the playoffs. It's time to put it on.
It's like, son, you know what the Super Bowl is? Yeah, I'm from America. Well,
It's about time for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out Thomas Tuchel for telling him it's the playoffs. But you just tell him it's the playoffs for the entire year.
Yeah. Going in to play West Brom, hey, it's the playoffs. So
Goes to the first game of the season. No, it's still the playoffs. Anyways, that'll wrap up the pod for this week. Hopefully, we'll get Sling back on next week, and we'll have a full squad. It's 2 weeks without the full squad. You know your boy is here every week.
Okay.
You know your boy is here every
Sorry,
week.
some of us can't live off of welfare, Logan. All right.
Okay.
Some of us have jobs and shit that we got to do.
That is a cap. I have a job. But anyways, I'll be here. I guess maybe Jake will be here.
All right.
Hopefully Sling is healed up from his illness next week, and he'll be back. Because I wanted to talk to him this week about the ongoings at Arsenal, but obviously wasn't able to. Hopefully get to talk to him about it next week in a positive light, hopefully, and not in a very pissy mood. But appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next week, same time, same day, Monday evening releases here in the States. Very early Monday or Tuesday morning releases, or very late Monday evening releases, however you want to look at it. It would probably be released around 2 or 3 a.m. over in Europe. So you guys can listen to it on your way to work, listen to it while you're working out in the gym, listen to it while you're taking a shower, while you're putting in that work in the bedroom.
While you're taking a shit.
Yeah, listen to it whenever.
While you're taking a shit in the bedroom.
But tune in again next week. We appreciate everyone for tuning in this week. Drop us a follow on social media. We're at Clueless Yanks on all kinds of platforms, on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Like we said, we'll be uploading some more content on YouTube in the future. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Shout out to our new listeners. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, especially if you're still here now this late into the pod. We really appreciate you. If you enjoyed what you heard, we'd love for you to leave us a review in the store. Give us a 5-star review. That'd be beautiful. And yeah, thanks everybody, and we will see you all next week.
See you later.
Take it easy, everyone.